Just moments ago, Zhang Yi had led a formidable force to the territory of the Bai Shui sect. Turning to his companions, he urged them to remain calm, hoping they would not let anger cloud their judgment. With resolve, Zhang Yi stepped toward the entrance of the abandoned building. However, a guard at the door raised a hand to stop him, foolishly asserting that this was forbidden ground for the Bai Shui sect. But his defiance was swiftly met with a powerful grip. A ghostly hand seized him by the neck and pinned him against the wall. The elite members present wasted no time. Dealing with such a minor obstacle was a mere formality, and in an instant, the guard lay unconscious at their feet. Fortunately, Kong Sheng had no intent to kill, he had merely knocked the guard out. Zhang Yi felt a surge of relief at seeing the trouble resolved so swiftly and led his team into the building. The others followed closely behind, stepping back into the eerie confines of the abandoned structure. Though they had been here before, the sight of the bloodvine once again left them in shock. The branches and tendrils of the bloodvine had sprawled across every corner. A grotesque reminder of the previous zombie crisis that had claimed thousands of lives, all of whom had been turned into nutrients for this sinister growth. Xiao Honglian broke the tense silence, her voice laced with urgency. "Where is the evidence you spoke of?" she asked, her disdain for the heavenly warriors above palpable, prompting her desire to leave this place quickly. Zhang Yi, unfazed, continued his slow pace, reflecting on the peculiar circumstances. "At first, I was just as confused," he admitted. "I analyzed the branches and tendrils of the bloodvine but found no signs of the zombie virus. However, the more I investigated, the more suspicious I became. It soon dawned on me that their true intention was to lure us here for examination. Surely, you understand what I mean?" He paused, allowing his words to sink in. "If I'm not mistaken, several of you have secretly investigated the bloodline, yet they showed no signs of precaution here. Isn't that odd? I analyzed the habits of zombies and discovered a pattern: they prefer dark, damp environments. In all of Tianhai City, the only research facility that meets such conditions has long since vanished. Now, do you see?" Zhang Yi pointed out. "The bloodvine's branches stretch throughout this building, which means its roots must be transforming the underground into a factory for creating zombies." His explanation ignited a flicker of realization among the group as they turned their gazes toward the roots of the bloodvine. Zhang Yi's insights opened new avenues of thought for them. As Bai Li Chongqing approached the bloodvine, it seemed to respond to his presence. Gently swaying, without a word, he unleashed a powerful punch toward the ground, eager to confirm Zhang Yi's claims. The impact reverberated through the building, as if an earthquake had struck, leaving Zhang Yi momentarily speechless. When the dust settled, the group moved closer to the epicenter of the disturbance. What they saw sent chills down their spines. Their expressions shifted from confusion to horror, and fear glinted in some of their eyes. The roots of the bloodvine stretched endlessly, and atop them lay countless bodies, covered in white hair, some grotesquely large and bronze-skinned. This scene was all too familiar. These were the very lions and armored zombies they had fought alongside before. Furious, Xiao Honglian realized the truth. What they had once believed to be a natural disaster was, in fact, a meticulously orchestrated conspiracy. The feeling of being manipulated left them with a bitter taste. Especially the investigation team, who wore grim expressions, their silence heavy with realization. Yet, at that moment, a strange smile crept across Bai Li Chongqing's face. The Bai Shui sect has truly outdone themselves, he mused. They managed to set such a grand trap right before our eyes. Since that's the case, let's ensure they vanish completely from this planet. His words unleashed a wave of murderous intent from the investigation team, marking the dawn of a new era, one where the hunt against the Bai Shui sect officially began. Just moments earlier, Zhang Yi observed the fierce expressions of those around him, a glint of golden light flashing in his eyes. This outcome was the most crucial step in his plan. The true extent of Yuan Cone's power remained a mystery, and Zhang Yi intended to use these people to test the waters. Without a backward glance, Bai Li Chongqing strode outside, his anger boiling over, his weapon hungering for action. However, at that moment, he turned back to Yi Jikong, giving him a deep and meaningful look. It was a simple message: destroy the bloodvine. Though they exchanged no words, Yi Jikong understood his intention immediately. He nodded in agreement. After all, the bloodvine was the true source of the zombies. Only by destroying it could the tide of corpses in Tianhai City be completely eliminated. With that, Bai Li Chongqing led his team away from the abandoned building, and the others followed suit. Although they communicated without a single word, they shared a common enemy, rendering additional actions unnecessary. Before leaving, however, Zhang Yi cast a lingering glance at Yi Jikong, eager to ascertain the full extent of his abilities. He watched as Yi Jikong placed his hand gently on the bloodvine, and to his astonishment, a uniquely shaped octopus stamp imprinted itself onto the vine's trunk. This spectacle was a revelation for Zhang Yi, who had never witnessed such an ability before. It seemed Yi Jikong had compressed his powers, transforming the octopus into an explosive device. True to Zhang Yi's expectations, after the others had evacuated, the building suddenly erupted with a deafening explosion. The entire structure crumbled like paper, while Yi Jikong emerged from the wreckage with an air of calm. The enormous blast startled the remnants of the Bai Shui sect, and the surviving cultists rushed from the building. However, upon seeing the bloodthirsty investigation team, most fell silent. A few reckless cultists, undeterred by the danger, stepped forward to block the group. If you wish to see the leader, you must go through proper channels. Their defiance was met with a swift shadow. Bai Li Chongqing, consumed by rage, was far too fast. Even Zhang Yi barely registered the movement before the air was filled with a cloud of blood mist. The cultists had vanished without a trace. The others stood in stunned silence, bewildered by the suddenness of it all. Only Liang Yu continued to watch Bai Li Chongqing's retreating figure, and he turned to Zhang Yi to warn him. This man is incredibly strong. If we measure him by Lin Feng's standards, he's at least 5 times that level. You should be cautious. As soon as Liang Yu finished speaking, Bai Li Chongqing arrived at the church's entrance, only to halt abruptly. Li Ji had advised him against rushing in recklessly. Wu Di was undeterred. He concentrated a massive sphere of light in front of him, and with a gentle flick of his finger, sent the glowing orb crashing into the doors. In an instant, the massive doors of the church shattered, splintering as if struck by a missile. Without missing a beat, Wu Di dashed inside, while Yuan Cone remained seemingly oblivious, cradling the body of Zheng Yixian, lost in sorrow. But when Wu Di caught sight of Yuan Cone, his eyes ignited with boundless fury. To him, Bian Junwu was like a father figure, and no one hated the leader of the Bai Shui sect more than he did. Suddenly, a torrent of blue orbs erupted from Wu Di's body, illuminating him like a supernatural being. The small spheres rained down upon the suspended liquid, their terrifying aura interwoven with unending rage, creating an invisible pressure that even Zhang Yi could feel. At that moment, Yuan Cone finally looked up at them, his unchanging gaze now flooded with deep-seated hatred. In this world, the last person he could trust was gone, and with them, his final hope. As the hovering artillery advanced, Yuan Cone finally set down the body of the fallen justice and slowly rose to his feet. With a flicker of thought, he summoned a shimmering golden barrier, repelling the powerful floating cannons with ease and obliterating the church in a spectacular explosion. Yet, not a single hair on Yuan Conge's body was harmed. Everyone, be cautious, Zhang Yi shouted. The psychic barrier Yuan Cone is using is just one of the many abilities he possesses. Xiao Honglian, fueled by bloodlust, declared, even if Yuan Cone is formidable, all the skilled fighters of Tianhai City are gathered here. I refuse to believe we can't eliminate him today. With that, she unleashed crimson flames that enveloped her, joining forces with the floating artillery for a simultaneous assault on Yuan Cone. Meanwhile, the Xingtian army, adorned in white snowcaps, charged forward, attempting a direct confrontation with Yuan Cone. However, every attack they launched bounced harmlessly off his golden shield. Zhang Yi steadied himself, contemplating whether his divine might could breach Yuan Conge's psychic barrier. Suddenly, Yuan Cone began to levitate, hovering above like a deity surveying the battlefield. The cultists below erupted in fervor, chanting praises to their snow god. Realizing the shift in momentum, Zhang Yi sensed that Yuan Cone would soon strike. He swiftly retreated, intending to conserve his strength while allowing the others to engage. Yuan Conge's eyes gleamed with malice as he addressed the crowd. You insignificant fools have no idea who you are fighting against. I am the agent of the divine, and anyone who offends the gods shall be eradicated. With that, Yuan Cone spread his arms wide, summoning 2 golden barriers that materialized in his hands. Let me, the divine agent, cleanse these faithless humans, he proclaimed. In an instant, the ground beneath Zhang Yi and his comrades began to tremble violently, fissures tearing through the earth as massive boulders levitated ominously into the air. Zhang Yi's instincts kicked in, sensing the danger. He activated his powers and sped away. His movements accelerated to 8 times normal speed. Yuan Cone, now a performer of epsilon level, coldly watched the fleeing fighters. With a gentle press of his hands, the floating boulders rained down like lethal hailstones. Zhang Yi realized there was no time to evade. He opened a dimensional gateway, absorbing the tumbling rocks into a pocket of space. Unfortunately, many performers were not quick enough to escape, and the boulders crushed them mercilessly. Quick, get behind me, Zhang Yi shouted, knowing he had to conserve his energy for a protracted battle against Yuan Cone. The investigation team and the leaders of several doomsday bases witnessed Zhang Yi's dimensional portal and rushed toward him for safety. Yuan Cone beckoned with a casual wave, saying, "You all should return too." Suddenly, the bodies of those crushed by the boulders emitted colorful energy waves, which Yuan Cone quickly absorbed. He held out his palm, collecting their energies with an intensity that sent a chill down Zhang Yi's spine. Yuan Cone's gaze was fixed on Zhang Yi and the dimensional gateway he had created. "I covet this ability of yours," he said, his voice laced with desire. Once again, Yuan Cone raised his hand and waved it lightly, sending the boulders hurtling back toward Zhang Yi. Zhang Yi's heart raced as he faced the oncoming barrage from all directions. Even with two-dimensional portals open, he wondered if it would be enough. Yuan Cone's control over his psychic powers was vastly superior. Leaving Zhang Yi to contemplate a grim reality. Would they all perish here today?